Hi guys, so the first thing I want to talk about today is Doctor Who and the Satan Pit episode. Now, this is an episode where the Doctor basically meets the devil, but they don't actually refer to him as the devil in the show. They refer to him as the Beast, but it's basically the same thing anyway. So you can see these two things that are in front of the Beast. That represents the idol worship. And then you can see the Beast has a great chain wrapped around his wrist, and this represents the great chain. As you can see, he's got horns. You may think that because this episode is set on another planet other than Earth, you may think that this has nothing to do with reality, when in fact you're wrong. Because it has everything to do with reality. The Illuminati try to put you off the scent by setting this story on another world. But this is what's really beneath the surface of our planet, guys. This Satan character. Well, he's not a character, really. He's real. Now, you can see here that she's making the Illuminati symbol with her hands. Look, you can see the pyramid shape there. But this helicopter here, this represents the helicopter that Lex Luthor uses in Batman v Superman. But the next thing I want to talk about is Wonder Woman in the film Batman v Superman, because she uses a sword in the film. But it's not clear whether this is the same sword she references earlier in the film, where she tells Bruce that the one he's looking at is a fake, because the real one is someplace else. But I believe this sword is supposed to represent the sword that Jesus uses. Well, he hasn't used it yet, but he will use it. And since Superman is the Jesus Christ character, I predict that in future DC films he will be using this sword. But anyway, moving on to the next subject now. Actually, before I do, I'd just like to say, this symbol here on Wonder Woman's sword looks like a cross, and on top of it is a thing that looks like a portal. But anyway, moving on, because I'd like to talk about the Snow White character in Snow White and the Huntsman. So, she's played by Kristen Stewart. I think that's how you say her name. And have you noticed that even though Kristen Stewart has blonde hair in real life, she always dyes her hair dark brown in quite a lot of the films she's in, including Twilight and all of the other Twilight films, and Snow White and the Huntsman. That's because she's supposed to represent the Lamb character, just like Elizabeth from BioShock Infinite and all of the others that I've mentioned in previous videos. So, also in this picture, you can see that Putin is wearing a red tie. Now, you usually associate the colour red with danger. Now, possibly, this could represent the danger is coming. But, have you noticed that the red record button on quite a lot of electronic devices, such as cameras, Androids, iPads, MacBook Pros, even this dictaphone that I'm recording this on, they all have red record buttons. Now, why is it that they're red? Is it because it's supposed to represent danger? Like, it's dangerous to record this. But guess what, guys? I'm not scared. I will make my voice heard. Also, the top that the woman is wearing, it's shaped like a triangle or a pyramid. But going back to the whole Pied Piper Russell Brand's thing, I don't know whether you know this, but he actually wrote a book about the Pied Piper. Also, there are like similarities about Alice in Wonderland and Snow White and the Huntsman. One of them is the fact that both Snow White and Alice, they both wear armour at the end of the film. At the end of the films, I should say. But I believe that this is because that they're both supposed to represent this Lamb character. Now, I know that Mia Wasikowska's character Alice has blonde hair in the film, but that's beside the point, because in other films that I've watched with her in, such as Stoker, she has like brunette hair in that. The only reason she's got blonde hair in this Alice in Wonderland's film is because she had blonde hair in the original animated movie. Well, that's just what I'm guessing anyway. And also, there's quite a lot of animals in Alice in Wonderland. The same with Snow White and the Huntsman, actually. But I don't recall seeing any lambs in either film, and I believe this is because the women are supposed to represent the lamb, or the lambs. So, I found out that Snow White and the Huntsman was made by the same producer as Alice in Wonderland. So there's another similarity there. Anyway, moving on to something else now that I'd like to point out. Essentially, right, Snow White is the king's daughter, just like Elizabeth in Bioshock Infinite is Booker's daughter. So it's like the lamb character always seems to be the daughter character. There are a few exceptions in other films, but, you know, look at bloody Moira in Resident Evil Revelations 2. I mean, she's Barry's daughter, and she's like got brunette hair. So yeah, Moira is probably like the lamb character as well. I mean, even bloody Natalia as well, like because she's a little girl in Resident Evil Revelations 2, and she's got like, I can't remember exactly, but I think it's either brunette hair or brown hair or black hair. Natalia's hairstyle is similar to Elizabeth's hairstyle in the main Bioshock Infinite video game, like the main game. But then Moira's hairstyle is more similar to Elizabeth's hairstyle in the Burial at Sea DLC, because Elizabeth's like hairstyle changes from the main game into the DLC, like because her clothing changes, which is appropriate since the main game is set in Colombia and the DLC is set in Rapture. Natalia is like a daughter figure to Barry almost, but of course she can't exactly replace his daughter because his daughter is irreplaceable. But at the end of the game, you sort of see like Natalia like living with like Barry and Moira, which is a bit weird because like it's almost like he wants to adopt her or something. Well, I say it's a bit weird, but going through all of that ordeal together, they sort of formed a connection. Even the little sisters could be seen as like lambs as well, or lamb characters, because like the big daddies, I think they see the little sisters as like daughters. In this picture here, you can see like some little sisters have brown hair, some have black hair, some have brunette hair, so you can see the correlation. Look, I'm no expert on hair, alright, but I love hair on women because I think it's sexy, like long hair. But anyway, that's going off the point. The point is, I'm not an expert on hair colour. Like, you may be sitting watching this video thinking, well, that hair looks totally different to the other one. Like, one little sister's hair looks a totally different colour to another little sister's hair. But I'm thinking, well, there's not much difference, to be honest, because it depends how different people see things, like, from their eyes and from their point of view. But I'm sort of a person who fails to see the difference between blonde hair and white hair, and sometimes I even get like blonde hair mixed up with like ginger hair and red hair, because like Gwyneth Paltrow, I always like forget that she's ginger sometimes because I just think that she's blonde for some reason. As you can see here, Alice is holding a sword in this picture, just like Wonder Woman had a sword. So, no, I'm not going to say that Wonder Woman and Alice represent Jesus Christ, because they don't. They represent the Lamb, and Superman represents Jesus Christ. So in this picture, you can see her about to fight a dragon, and she's concealing herself behind this pillar to hide from the dragon. Now, this dragon represents the devil, or a demon, or your Batman character. You see, he's black, just like Batman. Actually, I might be slightly wrong, because I don't think that's a dragon. I think it's like a Jabberwocky or something like that. Anyway, the point is, dragons and the Jabberwocky, they probably both represent the same thing anyway, which is like either the devil or demons. Now, you see this symbol on her shield here? It's in the shape of a W. Now, where have I seen a W symbol like that before? Of course, the logo of Wonder Woman. What the little sisters are to the big daddies is the same as what Natalia is to Barry. It seems like the same sort of relationship. The little sisters ride on the big daddy's backs. Or, if you want me to be exact, their shoulders. Natalia rides on Barry's back or shoulders. Rey, Padme and Leia in Star Wars, they all represent this Lamb character as well, because they're all brunettes. But all of these Lamb characters seem to be strong, independent women. Now, an interesting thing that I've just found out was that Natalie Portman was born in Jerusalem, Israel. Now, correct me if I'm wrong, but I think Jesus lived in Jerusalem. Well, he did a lot of things there anyway. And Natalie Portman also has a citizenship of Israeli and American. But, do you know who else was born in Israel? That's right, Gal Gadot, who played Wonder Woman. And both Padme and Wonder Woman, they're both supposed to represent this Lamb character, just like Jane Foster in the Thor movies, who is also played by Natalie Portman. And finally, the last thing I'd like to talk about in this video is the Mark of the Beast. Now, Batman uses the Mark of the Bat throughout the whole Batman v Superman film. Now, I believe this Mark of the Bat is supposed to represent the Mark of the Beast.